Chapter 2, Section 3, The Global Expansion of Mosques and Waqf. One of the most overlooked ways Islamic law becomes embedded, not just enforced, but institutionalized, is through the use of Waqf properties, religious endowments tied to Islamic objectives. These are not merely charitable holdings. Once designated as Waqf, an asset is permanently removed from private or state control and placed under Islamic trusteeship for the advancement of Sharia. Today, this includes not only mosques, but also schools, shopping centers, farms, housing projects, and even towns. To quote a hadith, Umar got some land in Khaybar, and he came to the Prophet and said, "I have got land better than that which I have never got. So what do you advise me regarding it?" Muhammad said, "If you like, you can give the land as endowment and give its fruits in charity." Bukhari 2737. The common thread is this: whether mosque or marketplace, farm or foundation, both the Waqf and the mosque are presented as religious, and in part they are, but functionally they serve a broader agenda. Each is used to advance Islamic sovereignty. Both provide long-term infrastructure for Sharia enforcement, social control, and when conditions permit, even military readiness. Mosques, for example, are viewed as places of worship, and they are, but under Islamic law, they also serve strategic functions. In Iraq, explosives were hidden in mosque walls. In southern Lebanon, a mosque was found to be storing weapons. In Germany, the government shut down the well-known Blue Mosque and two others, citing anti-constitutional objectives. Those who called for mosque closures were quickly labeled Islamophobes. Yet thousands marched in Hamburg demanding the implementation of Sharia, suggesting these concerns were not unfounded. In the case of the Blue Mosque, German Interior Minister Nancy Faeser blamed extremists while taking care to declare, "We are not acting against a religion." These marches and sermons reflect mainstream doctrines such as those found in Quran 8:12. Remember, when your Lord inspired the angels, "Verily, I am with you, so keep firm those who have believed. I will cast terror in the hearts of those who have disbelieved, so strike them over the necks and smite all over their fingers and toes." Many are surprised to learn mosques can be used this way, but this follows the pattern established by Muhammad himself. After his migration to Medina in 622, the starting point of the Islamic calendar, his mosque functioned not just as a place of worship, but as the epicenter of Islamic governance. According to foundational Islamic sources, Muhammad's mosque was used for executions and punishments. This is found in the Sirah of Ibn Ishaq. Judicial rulings and verdicts, Bukhari. Military planning, Hadith of Muslim. Weapon storage, Quran 4:102. Detention of captives, the Sirah of Ibn Ishaq. Reception of foreign delegations, the Sirah of Ibn Ishaq. This model persists. In Manchester, England, the Didsbury Mosque has a Sharia department for divorces, marriages, and other disputes, a parallel legal system. Throughout the UK, nearly 2,000 mosques operate, many with attached schools. Bookshops within them often stock not only Quran and Hadith, but works by leading Islamic thinkers such as Muhammad Qutb, brother of Syed Qutb of the Muslim Brotherhood, and Khurshid Ahmad Jamadi Islami, who referred to al-Qaeda fighters as brethren. Hadith. Muhammad, delivering a sermon from the pulpit, said, "Prepare to meet them with as much strength as you can afford. Beware, strength consists in archery. Beware, strength consists in archery. Beware, strength consists in archery. Beware, strength consists in archery." Many mosques are built atop the site of former churches, synagogues, or temples. The practical result is that these spaces serve not merely as places of worship, but as ideological and operational centers, used for legal rulings, political instruction, military mobilization such as Iran, and judicial authority beyond the reach of civil law, governed instead by Sharia-compliant trustees. It is forbidden for a non-Muslim to enter a mosque without permission. In such environments, sermons that promote Islamic supremacy, jihad, or even anti-kafir hostility are protected under religious freedom laws, even when they conflict with values or laws of the surrounding society. Similarly, properties designated as Waqf are considered inviolable. Once assigned this status under Islamic law, they can never be sold, inherited, or transferred. They are regarded as a trust for Allah and must be administered in perpetuity for religious, educational, or charitable purposes. Like mosques, Waqf properties are protected from state interference and exist to serve Islamic goals across generations. Increasingly, mosques, schools, cemeteries, Islamic centers, and even shopping malls are being designated as Waqf properties. Muslims are being encouraged to donate to this cause, which is perpetual, inalienable, and irrevocable in nature. It is the act of giving that is considered pious, not the gift itself. Waqf is not just a charitable arrangement. It constitutes a permanent change of legal and religious sovereignty. All of Israel has been declared a Waqf by Islamic leaders. An entire Indian village, including its Hindu temple, was declared Waqf land. In legal terms, a Waqf property is no longer subject to the laws of the host country, but considered part of the domain of Allah to be defended as such. For those in Western nations, the implications are profound. Waqf is not merely a financial or religious institution. It is a civilizational tool that advances Islamic law, doctrine, and sovereignty under the protection of religious freedom. It grants Islam not only durability, but immunity. Quran 4:102. When thou, Muhammad, art with them and stand to lead them in prayer, let them pray with thee, taking all precaution and bearing arms. The unbelievers wish, if you are negligent of your arms, to assault you in a single rush. In non-Islamic countries today, Waqf is often described in benign terms as community service or interfaith outreach. Instead, Waqf endowments function to secure permanent Islamic presence and influence. Properties acquired as Waqf cannot revert to public domain, creating lasting Islamic institutional footprints in host nations. This is not simply real estate, it is territorial consolidation under the law of Allah. Understanding Waqf is therefore essential to understanding how Islamic doctrine entrenches itself through protected, seemingly irrevocable infrastructure. It is long-term civilizational strategy, one that turns land into law. International endorsement and expansion. The idea of Islamic land dedication might seem far removed from Western legal structures, but it is now being supported by global institutions, leveraged as development, relief, and sustainability. In 2018, the UNRWA welcomed a Waqf fund launched by the Organization of Islamic Cooperation as a way to provide sustainable and predictable funding for Palestinians. The initiative was publicly endorsed by senior UN officials and described as a model for future relief efforts. This is not an isolated example. The UNDP, United Nations Development Program, has since promoted the concept of the Green Waqf, describing Islamic land dedication as a vehicle for sustainable environmental projects. Islamic Relief Worldwide, a Waqf-funded NGO, has been platformed at the World Economic Forum in Davos for advancing such mechanisms globally. At the same time, Islamic finance experts openly advocate for Waqf integration into Western welfare, education, and infrastructure. UN General Assembly document A goes even further. It reveals the degree to which the UN itself now relies on Islamic giving, including zakat, the compulsory Islamic tax of 2.5%, and Waqf, as a structural solution to financial crisis, in this case to fund Palestinian operations. Academic papers published since COVID-19 advocate for Waqf-based social impact bonds that combine sukuk, Sharia-compliant bonds, blockchain technology, and cross-border public-private partnership, positioning non-Muslim states as potential hosts for permanent Waqf-based assets. Policy journals now promote cash Waqfs as vehicles for institutionalizing Islamic financial systems globally, rebranding them as socially and ethically responsible investments aligned with the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. Yet they fail to mention the Sharia mandate behind them. Interagency efforts such as the UNHCR, the Islamic Development Bank, Global Fund further illustrate how Sharia-compliant finance is being promoted for refugee relief under the aegis of the UN. These financial structures produce zakat, a revenue stream that by doctrinal requirement includes support for jihad. At the 2018 International Waqf and Blockchain Forum in Dubai, Mr. Rashid stated, quote, "The IWBF platform is there to establish clarity and a collective understanding of the potential that blockchain technology possesses for the facilitation and development of Waqf assets on a global scale, whilst also promoting new economy alternatives to enhance Muslim unity," unquote. Attendees also witnessed the signing of a memoranda of understanding with a Canadian university, Dubai, marking just one example of how private sector and academic institutions are being drawn into this infrastructure under the banner of innovation and global finance. What most people don't realize is that waqfs permit the founder, his descendants, and associates to eat off them indefinitely, and even purchase slaves with the proceeds, so long as a portion goes to the poor. The administrator may give gifts, take a salary, and appoint successors with few restrictions. While storing up wealth is technically prohibited, it hardly matters. The Waqf guarantees generational security while presenting itself as charity. No wonder Waqfs remain so popular. Like the old high society charity galas where the host enjoyed the evening and the poor received the leftovers, the Waqf offers prestige, personal benefit, and doctrinal virtue wrapped in philanthropic respectability. From the Hadith, there is no sin for one who administers if he eats something from it in a reasonable manner, or if he feeds his friends and does not hoard up goods for himself. Muhammad said, without storing the property without view to becoming rich, Muslim 1632a. Another, it was not sinful of the trustee of the Waqf to eat or provide for his friends from it, provided the trustee had no intention of collecting fortune. Ibn Umar was the manager of the trust of Umar, and he used to give presents from it to those with whom he used to stay at Mecca. Bukhari 23:13. Another, the surplus fruit will be devoted to the beggar and the deprived. He then went on with the tradition, saying, if the man in charge of Thang, a named Waqf, wishes to buy a slave for his work for its fruits, he may do so. Then the men of opinion from her family will be in charge of these endowments, that these will neither be sold or purchased, spending where they think necessary on the beggar, deprived, and relatives. There is no harm to the one in charge of the endowment if he eats himself or feeds or buys slaves with it. Dawood 28:79. Finally, the management of the endowment can be taken over by the founder himself or any other person, for both cases are permissible. Bukhari 27:78. What may appear to the West as creative finance or inclusive development is actually the strategic entrenchment of Islamic sovereignty through legal mechanisms and permanent religious infrastructure. This is not charitable innovation, it is civilizational replacement, with assistance from Western institutions, often unwitting or unexamined.